Welcome to Roxy on Art. I'm Roxalana, and today joining us for a discussion is John McDonnell. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I'm semi-retired, I guess you might say. Recently, due to health complications, I've found myself with some free time, and I decided to go into something that I've enjoyed all my life, and that's woodwork, and I took it a little step farther and got into building musical instruments.
Awesome.
So I'm in the process of starting up a business. I'm calling it Wood and Strings. I'm running it out of my home, basically. Build guitars, mandolins, and ukuleles, dulcimers, any wooden musical instrument with strings on it, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
Enjoying it every minute.
That's awesome.
I've got a friend who tells me I don't work because I'm having fun.
Still hard work, you know.
Yeah.
So what got you into building instruments?
I've been a musician off and on. I've always enjoyed music all my life. I've enjoyed music. I started into guitars when I was early teens and never really had the chance to pursue it once mid-teens, I guess, girls came along.
Then you were busy.
So now that I've found myself with some free time, and I picked it up again.
Okay, awesome. So what drew you to string instruments? Because that's what you started playing with as well, right?
The uncle of mine was a guitar player. Every time we were anywhere near visiting him, he always had a guitar, and I always enjoyed it, and that was one of the things I really liked. It came natural to me to play. First time I picked up a guitar, I think I played 3 songs by the end of the night.
That's crazy. I'm a little bit jealous. That's awesome. So have you ever done lessons, or have you always just kind of done it? So you play by ear then?
I play by ear.
Oh, okay.
I have taught myself, they call it tablature, is a way of reading music for guitars.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. It's just the numbers. Which finger goes what string.
Right. Okay.
So I've basically self-taught, and otherwise by ear. There's a lot of music that I hear it and play it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me a little bit about more, I guess, about the process of what it takes to build a string instrument?
Well, when I first started into it, I didn't really know the process. I found some wood and I started cutting. I learned as I went along. But you have to start out basically with your wood selection. I try to find pieces of wood, types of wood, with some sort of character showing in them. This is a mandolin I did. With it, there's 3 different types of wood I used, or 3 different types of maple that I used for it.
Okay.
Okay. The back and sides and neck is all what they call rock maple. It's actually Manitoba maple. I cut it down in my backyard.
Oh, really? Oh, so you've actually cut down a lot of...
Some of the wood,
Okay.
some of the maple that I use has been harvested.
Oh, okay.
Right in my yard, or right locally.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
I try to acquire as many of the woods as I can locally, but there are some that I have to order in from specialty suppliers through the States. But this one, the front is quilted maple. The front and the top is quilted maple, they call it. The back, sides, and neck is, as I said, Manitoba maple. Then the fretboard and the headstock inlays is what they call bird's eye maple.
Okay.
So you have the 3 different types of maple, and then to get a contrast, I bind it with the trim is black walnut.
Walnut, yes. So what? When you say quilted maple and bird's eye maple, what do you mean by that? What?
It's the type of figure that shows in the wood.
Okay.
Most woods, it's just a clean, straight grain pattern
Mm-hmm.
to it. For some reason, with maple in particular, it's more prominent in maple. It can be found in almost all woods,
Okay.
but more prominent it happens with maple. You get figuring, and sometimes they don't understand why.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a type of figuring. The quilting, it looks like little bubbles.
Okay.
Sometimes, like a quilt.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
And
interesting.
then the bird's eye, it's little spots. It almost looks like a bird's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll also get burl wood. It's another type of figure.
Okay. What does that one
Burl
look
wood
like?
is pretty popular for bowl making and fine furniture finishing, little accents that they'll add to it, and they'll use burl. It's very hard to work with, but the grain with
Oh,
burl,
really?
it goes every direction. It goes all over the place. So it's very hard to work with burl. That's why it's usually used, as I say, with bowl making, and people doing lathe work really like it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter when that thing's spinning at 100 miles an hour. It doesn't matter which direction it's going.
Right, right, yeah.
Whereas this, you're doing everything by hand with planes and chisels.
Right.
So, yeah, it matters greatly which way the grain is running.
Oh, okay.
You run a plane the wrong way into a piece of wood and you got a problem.
Ooh, okay.
It doesn't exactly cut right.
Yeah, no kidding. So, did you start woodworking when you started building instruments, or did you do woodworking
I've
beforehand?
done woodworking before. I got into it when I was a kid. I was used to carve model war airplanes by hand out of blocks of wood.
That's awesome.
Just to kill time. Farm kid, when it was winter, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, stay inside
Didn't
and
have a
chisel away at some wood.
snowmobile back So yeah, and then in public school we had a shop class that I took woodwork in, and ever since then I've always tried to be involved with woodwork. I've loved it for
Okay.
throughout my life, but never really had the opportunity to get back into it to any extent until just recently. And
Okay.
this is the way I decided to express it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you kind of took two, I guess, interests or loves and put them together.
Yeah,
Right?
you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the process of creating. What goes into creating one of your instruments?
As I said, the first step is acquiring your wood, deciding what wood you're going to use, and how you're going to use it, what you're going to make out of it.
And there's a lot of options with
lot of
that.
options.
Yeah.
I have here 2 pieces of rosewood. They don't look anything alike. As I say, I try to get most of it locally. If I can acquire it locally, that's my preferred. Sometimes I have to order it in.
Right.
This piece was ordered.
Okay.
Okay. This one I acquired locally.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do you get rosewood in Canada?
I didn't go cut it down, no.
Okay. Okay. I was like,
This was from North American Lumber right here in Yorkton.
oh, okay.
I got lucky. They had one chunk there. It was just long enough. Actually, that's the length, so it's that much too long.
Okay.
Okay, for what I'm going to use it for. This is a fretboard, by the way. I acquired it from the lumber yard in a large billet. It was actually 2 inches by, I think it was 10.
Okay.
Right? Well, here's my 2 inches, and I got a 1/4 inch here, so I'm going to get 40 of these out of that one piece of wood.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm good for a little while.
Yeah, no kidding.
The other option is ordering it in. When I order it in, it comes from a luthier supply, and it's already cut and prepped. This piece, I have to cut it down into size and shape it and everything. This is semi-finished, prepped. And this is
Okay.
the way it comes to me. This is called book matching. It actually starts out as one piece of wood, right, like this. They cut it down the center, and then you open it up to to that.
Oh, and then you get a mirror image
You-
of it. then.
Exactly. Each
Okay.
side, so it's, as I say, it's like a book match. They open it up like a book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Once I acquire the piece of wood like this, I would have to thin it down to the size that I'm requiring to build my guitar. This one will be a guitar. Once I've got that thinned out, it's down to this stage. Now this isn't a guitar, this is a mandolin, by the way. Okay. That would be the back. I would have sides. Now they all have to get put together somehow.
Yes.
Okay. On guitars, mandolins, they have a curve to the back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the top is normally on a guitar flat. On a mandolin, it's really curved. You actually have to carve that part.
Oh gosh.
But the
Oh wow.
back for this, you would form your braces, and the braces will have a curve to them.
Okay.
Put them in there, and as you glue it to the back, it's going to take on the curve of the brace. Okay. Then when you do the sides, you have to put the sides into a mold. You form them, make them bend using heat and steam. Okay. So you can bend it, form it to the shape of the instrument you're making.
Yes. Right.
Now, being that that's only 2/32 of an inch thick, or 1/16 of an inch thick,
Yeah.
there's not enough surface there to actually glue it. So you have to add along the rim, they call this a kerfing.
Okay.
Okay. It gets glued on. Then you can stick the back to it.
Okay.
And once you've got the kerfing, your back and your front come together. Okay. Then you've got your neck you have to work on.
Yes.
Right? That's the next step. On a guitar, sometimes in mandolins, they have what's called a truss rod. We'll show you. This is a neck that I've started, right? And
Yes.
down the center, there's a steel rod that goes into it.
Okay.
There's a little screw on the end. As you turn this screw one way or the other, it will cause this rod to flex and bend one direction or
Okay.
the other. Now the reason for that is because the tension on the strings, once you've got the strings on the neck of the guitar, here, there's anywhere between 75 and 175 pounds of pressure
Okay. Oh.
on that
Okay.
neck. Okay. So if you took 175 pounds of pressure on this neck and pulled it this way, it's going to make that neck bend. Wood itself won't hold it. So they put the steel rod in there, and you would turn that to bring it back, so to hold it straight.
Ah. That makes sense. I did not know that they did this. This makes sense. Okay.
Okay. So you'd have to cut your channel for the truss rod, they call it, puts it in there. That will be the center line of the guitar. When you're building an instrument, everything is based off the center line. Everything you do, you're working on the center of the neck, the center of the body, the center on the ends, right?
Right.
The sides join and everything.
Yeah, everything has to be
Everything is
aligned.
based on a center line. Okay, keep things straight. Okay. So now that I've got that, I've got it laid out here. You wouldn't be able to see the lines, but I've got it laid out where the shape of the neck is going to be. I now have to carve that to the shape of the neck.
Okay.
And that's all done by hand. It's
Yeah.
done with planes, rasps, files, so on.
That's
Until I
amazing.
get it to the shape of a guitar neck.
Yeah.
Right? Next, I have to join the neck to the body of the guitar. Okay. Here we have the body. Oh, this way. This, by the way, is the rosewood that
On the back.
on the back and the sides.
Okay.
Got rosewood, and then the top is spruce. Guitar tops are almost always spruce. Sometimes they will use mahogany.
Why is that? Is because of the hardness or?
The stiffness and the sound that you get.
Okay.
Poplar just wouldn't work. too soft,
Yeah.
doesn't make noise.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so in order to join the neck to the guitar, you can't just butt it up like that and glue it. There's two methods. One is called a bolt-on neck,
Okay.
and for that they cut a tenon in the end of the guitar, which is just a straight slot. They usually go about 3/4 of an inch deep. Okay, and then they would put the mortise on this side, which is this would be like the female end, and this is the male end. Mortise and tenon, and it would stick together, and there would be a bolt would come through from the inside of the guitar into a nut that is inlaid inside the joint of the neck.
Okay.
I don't like that method myself. That nut can come loose, in my opinion.
Okay,
It can work
yeah.
itself loose. I join my necks to my bodies with what's called a dovetail. And
The expert thing to do.
Yeah.
Dovetails are hard.
It's a lot more intricate. It's a lot
Yeah.
harder to do. It's not just taking a router and cutting it in.
No,
There's
not
a lot
at
of fitting, a lot of sanding, and so forth to make sure that it goes down to the right level, stays the right angle this way, and
Right.
straight this way. Okay. So there's a lot of very fine work to getting it to do that. Once you've got that done, you're most of the way there. Basically, you need a bridge,
Yeah.
your fretboard. Once your neck is joined, your fretboard would go onto the neck, right?
Yes.
On here, the other way around. The big wide parts go to the far end, right?
Yes.
And you would put some sort of a head plate cover on it, so forth. As I said, showed the mandolin, it's bird's eye. This one, I'll probably put the rosewood
Okay.
on the top of the headstock.
Oh wow.
Add your tuners, add your strings, and put your finish on.
Then
It's
you
ready
got
to go.
you got a guitar. So after all of this work, how long does it take to make something like this?
Guitars on average take me 220, 230 hours to do one guitar.
Wow.
That's keeping it fairly plain and simple.
Right.
If I do any intricate inlay work or any intricate finish work, it takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
So it goes up from there. This guitar, for example, it's got what's called a French polish on the top.
Oh, okay.
Most guitar makers nowadays, they try to avoid doing a French polish because it does take so long. There's 32 coats of shellac on that guitar.
32. That's
32
very
coats.
specific.
Yes. It's in order to get it to it's the high gloss shine you're after.
Right.
You can't get that with urethane. You can't get that with varnish. You don't get quite the same finish as you do with shellac. And shellac, it's 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the night, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night.
Oh,
for
yeah.
18 days.
Wow. So what is that the difference between a regular finish and the French finish? The
French
layers and the fact that
Yes,
it's shellac?
the layering
Okay.
and the time it takes and the work. To apply shellac, it's all by hand, and you're rubbing it in and rubbing it in. And
Oh,
rubbing it in.
gosh.
That's why I say 2 hours just to do the one body
Yeah.
every morning, and then let it dry for a while, and then
Yeah.
2 hours the next. Your first 3-4 coats, you don't even know that you notice that you put anything on there. This one, for instance, already has 3 coats on there,
Oh, really?
and it looks like bare wood to you.
Yeah, no, I did not think it had a finish on it already.
There's three coats of finish on that right now, and that's just I put that on there as a protective finish for while I'm working on it, because I might be sticking tape to it when I put the binding on. I'll put tape on to hold the binding on. Well, the tape itself might tear the fibers of the wood. Right?
Right. So you need to
So I
protect
need
it
to
through the
protect
process.
it through that process.
That makes
It
sense.
also hardens it in case because spruce is a very, very soft wood. It's very strong, but it's also very soft,
Okay.
right? It takes on, touch it, drop your pencil on there, and it'll leave a dent in it.
Oh,
unless there's a finish.
really? Ah,
The finish does help protect it for that, from things like that.
okay. So I guess, what is your favorite part of the process?
Putting the strings on it and see how it sounds.
And having it done.
That would be my favorite part.
Yeah, having the finished piece and just ready to go. So what kind of level of precision do you need to be handcrafting a string instrument?
It does take an extreme level of precision.
Mm-hmm.
I've got pretty good eyesight, but I still, for most of the work that I do, I wear a magnifying lens
Oh, really?
with lights. So I'm
Wow.
not making
So you're like a
mistakes.
surgeon?
Basically like a surgeon.
Yeah.
You're using micrometers, calipers for measuring. You can't use a ruler. Well, some instances you can use a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
You can get away with it, but that's some of the rougher measurements. But the rosette, for example, there's 16 pieces of wood to make that.
Okay.
A classical guitar maker, some of the rosettes in a classical guitar, this would be a steel string guitar. Some of the rosettes for a classical guitar have over 2,000 pieces.
Wow.
Just to make up that one fancy little circle that they do.
Yeah.
Right. So if you figure there's 2,000 pieces in there, they can't be very big. You're talking
yeah.
measurements within a thousandth of an inch, 1/10,000th of an inch.
Yeah. That's incredible.
The spacing on the frets, for example, right? If you're out any more than 1,000th of an inch, your guitar is going to be out of tune. So you have to be that slot there
Yeah.
is 4,000ths of an inch wide. That's like three strands of hair.
That's
Is how wide
crazy.
that'll be. If you're out half of that width of that cut, either way, your guitar will be out of tune.
Yeah. Wow.
So you have to be very accurate. As you can see, they get closer together as they go along.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so much precision. And do you ever get frustrated in the process of making an instrument? Like, how's the learning curve for something like this?
I wouldn't say frustrated. I would say disappointed on a couple of occasions. Oh, darn. We'll have to start that part over again, make a new one.
Yeah. Well, I guess it
does
also
happen.
it also helps that you have to do each piece individually and bring it together,
Yes.
right? So it's
Yeah.
not like you put something on and then it ruins the whole thing. Or has that ever happened?
It can.
Oh,
it hasn't
gosh.
so far, thank
Okay.
goodness, but it can
Yeah.
happen.
Oh, I
Yes.
guess, yeah.
Yeah. There are several ways that could happen. Cutting the slot here, for instance, you're at this point already, and you have to cut your dovetail here.
Right. If you mess that up.
If you're messing that up, you've messed up the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not
yeah.
like you can remake that because you've taken wood away. You can't put.
Yeah, you can't put it back.
It's
No.
not like steel where you can weld a piece back on.
Yeah. Right. That's true.
Nah, you cut this a little too short. You can't exactly stretch it.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it. It just is.
So yes, there is times where you could be well into the project and destroy everything you've done up to that point by one small mistake.
Do you ever get stressed out about that when you're
Yes, I do.
getting?
Yes, I do. Cutting the F-holes on a mandolin top was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. You're working with a piece of wood that's, what is that? 2/32 on 1/16 inch thick.
Oh
Right?
my.
A piece of wood, and you have to cut it with a saw. And you're cutting around corners and
Yeah.
fine little details.
Oh,
Cutting
wow.
a hole in the middle of it, and then you're watching this wood flex back and forth and back and forth.
Oh.
Yes, you do get stressed.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure through that process, like it would be very exhilarating as well, because once it's done and you get it perfect, it's like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of satisfaction once you've finished each part and you have got it to what you want.
Yeah. So, I know you said earlier that, you know, mid or later teens, you kind of didn't divulge, I guess, into your into the arts. You weren't really, you kind of drifted away from music, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't really drift away from music. I drifted away from playing it.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I mean,
always had it there on the radio or something like that.
but I guess from playing it, being an active participant in it. So I guess, what is the biggest change in your life that you've experienced having music kind of reintroduced into your life?
Retirement.
Yeah. So how did
More
it?
time.
More.
Also, some of the people that I've met in this later part of my life they've been involved with music most of their lives. A lot of them. Some of them are very good. The gentleman I made this guitar for example, he's been playing since he was a kid. He's now a session musician, makes his living
Oh wow.
off music.
Yeah.
He's got on his third CD release. He's going into the recording studio next week.
Nice.
I'm hoping it's a really big hit, so I'll be able to sell signature guitars.
Nice.
Have him endorse them for me.
Good, definitely.
So yeah, it's largely the people that I've met recently and the time that I have on my hands.
Yeah,
More
so
into it.
you've been able to make a lot of connections with a lot of different people through this venture,
music,
I guess.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So now that you're well into, you know, building instruments and playing music, can you imagine your life without it?
No, I couldn't. I wouldn't. I would have a hard time going to the point where I'm not playing music, not building guitars, not building with wood. I would struggle between. Can't see it happening.
Yeah, no kidding. And you have such a talent. Like, this is incredibly skillful. Like, I tried building a little table with my boyfriend, just a table to do some woodworking on, and that was already a handful for us. So like, watching you do this is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So what is your favorite instrument to play? Because I presume you play all of these.
Yeah, I do prefer the guitar. Unless I'm sitting around a campfire, then I like a ukulele.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. The ukulele is actually a lot of fun sitting around a campfire.
Yeah.
Very easy to play. And it's almost anybody can play one.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's mainly just for kids, but I've sold a few to adults recently, and they're telling me that they're putting their guitar away.
Well, it is such a fun little instrument.
I still play my guitar. But yes, I do. The ukulele is a lot of fun. Mandolin is very hard on the fingers. It hurts the fingers.
Oh yeah, the strings are
because the strings are so tight compared to like a
Okay.
guitar or a ukulele,
right.
and they're doubled up. So being a tighter string over a shorter distance than a guitar, to press it down, it's harder on the fingertips.
Right. Yes.
Also being a smaller neck, and that for a lot of people it's hard to get their hand.
Right,
to
because it's very
finger
small
position
compared.
that-
Yeah.
That size of a neck
Okay.
compared to a guitar, you get.
Got a lot of room.
Mandolin neck is only that long, and it's got just as many spaces.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, that would be a lot harder to do. Yeah, that's a good point with the fingers, because I played guitar like a long time ago. It was only for about a year, and that was the biggest issue with me because I have such little baby hands. Pressing down on the strings, it would hurt. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. That's one thing about the ukulele is you could play that thing.
Oh,
all
the
day
strings are
long
so
and it's-
soft. Yeah, yeah.
Never hard on the fingers.
So, can you play one of your instruments for us so we can hear what one of them sounds like?
We'll give you a bit of a tune on one here. I don't sing.
That's okay.
Let's see, what could we do? Here's one of my favorite ones. It's an old Neil Young tune.
Ah.
Little Neil Young.
I love it. Oh, that sounded so good. Oh, that was awesome. Wow, it feels so quiet in here now. Wow, that was awesome. So I noticed on that guitar, you have some detailing in there that isn't wood. There's some stone in there as well.
Yes. With this one, it's turquoise.
Ah,
The blue.
that's gorgeous.
there. This one was done for a gentleman, a friend of mine, on contract. Him and I sat down and collaborated on what to do and what woods to use and so forth. And the top is bear's claw spruce is what that is.
Oh,
That was my suggestion. He picked out the back and sides, and that is a quilted sepo. Is what that is.
Oh, okay.
That's another exotic wood that I had to bring in. The neck is Honduran mahogany with a bloodwood accent on the back. They call that a skunk stripe, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Going up the back. All gold hardware on it, including the fret wire is gold-plated
Oh,
tuners.
wow.
Right. The blue, as I said, is turquoise. We have flame maple binding and a wenge fretboard. That's
Okay.
the type of wood that's
Oh, okay.
on the fretboard.
Yeah.
That's very hard to work with.
Oh, really? Why is
Yes,
that?
It tends to splinter really badly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it shatters when you hit it with a saw, or it'll splinter when you hit it with a saw, or
Oh,
anything like that.
gosh.
Can't drill it, can't do nothing with it.
Oh, so of course you're going to use it.
Of course, I'm gonna use it, yes. In order to use that, I had to take the entire piece of wood and flood the entire thing with crazy glue
Oh, okay.
before I could do anything with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that was one little trick there.
Oh, yeah.
The pick guard Very, very seldom you'll ever see a wooden pick guard.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
that's
on a guitar.
true.
Usually there's no pick guard, or it's just a very, very thin layer of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what we did is we took the headstock veneer
Mm-hmm.
and the rosette, which is a black walnut burl,
Mm-hmm.
and the pick guard and the bridge,
Yeah.
all cut out of black walnut.
Okay.
The pick guard is actually book matched to match the headstock.
Okay.
It was one piece of wood cut,
Oh.
split open. One piece
Mhm.
went here and one piece went there.
Oh, nice.
Okay?
I like
so
that.
you see the same pattern
Yes, I'm looking
Here.
at it.
as you do up here.
Ah, I like that. That's such a subtle unifying sort of element in there. Yeah. So what's the what was the idea behind the figure eight here?
He is a Métis,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Métis descent,
Mhm.
and he wanted it in there to personalize it. And that is the symbol for Métis.
Oh,
It's a Métis
really?
symbol, yeah.
Oh, neat. Oh, that's gorgeous. And that is you hand carved that as well.
Yes, yeah, that's hand
That's
carved and shaped
amazing.
by me and inlaid right into it.
Yeah.
It's inlaid right in there.
Oh, wow.
As well as the bridge and the
Mhm.
nut. Those are all hand shaped. They are bleached bone. It's actually the
Oh, wow.
femur from a cow.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. Most of them, the high quality guitars will almost always use bone.
Mhm.
Nowadays there's, I shouldn't say plastics because they're not really plastics, but composites,
Okay.
like a plastic
Mhm.
that they're making some of the cheaper ones out of. It's bringing the cost down as opposed to
Right.
bone.
Yeah, makes
And then
sense.
for the real low-end guitar that you would normally find at, say, a music store,
Mhm.
they're 90% of them are going to be just plastic.
Mhm. Right.
Nothing special.
Yeah.
The handmade guitars will always be far more expensive
Yes. Well, I
than
mean,
anything you're finding in a store.
yeah, it's quite understandable hearing you talk about the process and every little intricacy and detail and skill that goes into something like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a surprise how this is, you know, so worth so much more than a manufactured piece.
Yeah.
Ah.
Manufactured, they're cut out with a CNC machine,
Mm-hmm.
so every piece they're
Identical.
precise.
Yes.
They are precise, but there's no individuality to them, shall we
Yes.
say.
Yeah.
No real quality control when you get down to
The fine
tiny
details.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming out and
Been a pleasure.
talking to us about this. This is amazing.
I've had fun.
Yeah. So, where can people check out your business? What was the business name again?
It's Wooden Strings Musical Instrument, and now that's not wood en WOOD-EN. It's WOOD dash N dash
Okay.
strings,
Yeah.
and then musical instruments.
Okay. So, do you have
It's
a?
online on Facebook.
Okay.
You can reach it. Contact me by phone,
Mm-hmm.
745-8113. I'm just out of Esterhazy. That's about.
That's it.
You get down into Esterhazy, it's a small town. You can pretty much ask anybody.
They'll know.
So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, just ask where the guy that makes guitars is.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you guys next week. All right.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Yes.